his contract's up with Tampa after this year. It's not been re-signed yet. If you're hiring John Cooper, you are making him Kyle Davidson's boss or firing Kyle Davidson. And I am overall...
Wait, say that again. I'm sorry.
If you're hiring John Cooper,
yes,
you're making him Davidson's boss or firing Davidson. You're giving John Cooper's not going to leave Tampa to come to Chicago just to be head coach.
You're going to make him coach and GM?
You're going to have to make him the president of hockey operations or something like it's going to be something beyond coach. I don't think he's moving laterally from Tampa to Chicago. Why?
No, that's why it's the pipe dream that you would convince him to come here.
Like you got to give him personnel choices.
Right. I'm thinking this is in my brain, this is a scenario in which the Lightning aren't offering him the opportunity to either a coach and get that position like you're saying here, or move into that position in Tampa. If he doesn't have that opportunity to do that, then I think he probably looks elsewhere. But if he's interviewing with the front office of Chicago and it's I'm going to be coach and I'm taking your job, Kyle Davidson, I don't think Kyle Davidson's going to be like, okay.
Well, like I think that would be a Danny Wirtz call.
Right.
So, I mean, look,
if you're pulling the plug on Davidson.
But your scenario though, where he wants more from Tampa and Tampa's like, no, we're committed to Julien Brisebois, and they don't give it to him. Then the Hawks can say, you're a free agent coach. Here's a blank check. What do you want to be the head coach of the Chicago Blackhawks?
There's no salary cap on coaching.
And you will have input unofficially, but you'll have input just like the Bears are doing with Ben Johnson. You'll work in tandem with our GM. You'll have input on draft picks, input on trades, input on personnel, all those sort of things. And we're going to make you the highest paid NHL coach by 30% over the next head coach. That is the dream. But I just can't imagine Tampa just punting on John Cooper. Like, hey, it's been a good run. Thanks. They're performing well.
Unless it's a crash out for them in the playoffs or something. But even then, that doesn't seem smart.
Yeah, there's no reason to, like, it was one thing, like, when Quenneville was fired, things were not going, like, it was starting to sort of fall apart. And after a certain amount of time, I do think you need a new voice regardless, just because you've got the same players playing for the same guy for a decade, and the message just starts to wear thin a little bit. I think that happens. I think it happens over time, and I think that may have happened with Quenneville and the Dynasty Blackhawks. Now, to replace him with Jeremy Colliton was an absolute, what's worse than an F? I'm going to grade that a Z-.
Sure.
As bad as you can possibly do. Okay? But it didn't mean it maybe wasn't time to move on from Quenneville. But there's no indications when I watch Tampa or talk to people in Tampa that, the John Cooper's message is wearing thin here or they need a new voice. Absolutely not. So I just can't fathom, unless he wants more money than they're comfortable paying and just says, all right, well, I'm going to go explore and I'll come back to you with an offer and you can match it or not. Then the Hawks could say, here's $15 million to coach the team.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like
I think that's the biggest thing that the Blackhawks can offer in a scenario like that is that they'll just put up the money and you have the opportunity to mold a young and up and coming team. I think that could be enticing for some head coaching candidates. I don't know if it is for a guy like John Cooper, who just would be coming from a scenario where you're contending for Stanley Cups with all-star rosters. But that's kind of the biggest thing that they offer. And if Cooper comes in and says, well, I also want a managerial role, I still don't think moving on from Davidson would in that scenario be the move to make, because then you're handing over the key. I don't know. I don't think it's a scenario in which you're handing over the keys like you did from Dale Talon to Stan Bowman, but you're handing over the keys of the rebuild to a new guy who knows if his philosophy would be, we're going to continue to focus on these specific prospects and this future, or is it going to be, ooh, look at all these young guys I can trade for the here and now kind of thing?
Well, I'll say this. There's one guy well, that's not true, but I am happy with Davidson's job so far. I think this offseason is crucial for him. He has to land an all-star player for Connor Bedard. It has to happen. He's got to find a way to do it. Money, trade, whatever it might be. And it can't be another Bertuzzi or Teravainen. It's got to be a stud all-star top liner. But if there's a guy I'm considering handing the keys of my franchise to today, it's John Cooper. And I feel good enough about the prospects that Davidson has drafted so far that there is a good enough pool in Rockford, in college, in junior right now to get 3, 4, or 5 NHL players here. Mm-hmm. I also believe if you hire John Cooper the day after the season ends and he has to run your draft, he's probably not going to botch a top 4 pick. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't think there's a botch in the top 4.
So, yeah. So, I mean,
but
that's the
teams
one
in
guy.
Draft classes usually are more than just your first pick.
I just think you have to be willing. If there's an opportunity to upgrade your organization as big as there would be with John Cooper, you jump at it and figure it out. And, I don't know. Again, I don't think the Cubs would have fired Dale Svame or was it Renteria? It was Renteria?
Renteria.
Yeah, wouldn't have fired Ricky Renteria if Joe Madden didn't become available.
Yeah. But they didn't make Joe Madden, president of baseball.
No, because they had Theo Epstein.
Right.
So
we all silly like the mayor.